AITA for refusing to attend my own brother's wedding after he invited my ex-wife and seated her at the family table? Not just invited. Not she happened to be there. Front row. Family section. Right next to my parents. And the worst part? Everybody knew what she did to me. But apparently I was the problem for not wanting to sit across from the woman who blew up my marriage. So now my entire family says I ruined the wedding before it even happened. And honestly, I still don't know if I'm wrong. So for context, I'm 34. My younger brother Ryan is 31 and getting married this summer. Growing up, we were close in the way brothers usually are. We fought constantly as kids, chilled out as adults, and eventually became the kind of siblings who didn't need to talk every day to know we had each other's backs. Or, at least, I thought we did. 3 years ago, my ex-wife Jenna and I divorced after 6 years of marriage, and before anybody asks, no, it wasn't mutual. No, it wasn't, we grew apart. And no, it wasn't one dramatic fight. It was death by betrayal. The kind where you slowly realize the person sleeping next to you has been emotionally checked out for months, maybe years, while still pretending everything is normal. I found out Jenna had been cheating on me with a coworker. Not physically at first, at least from what I know, but emotionally. Secret texts, deleted messages, late-night phone calls, inside jokes I wasn't part of. Then eventually, yeah, physical too. And before somebody says, well, maybe the marriage was already broken, let me save you the speech. Every marriage has problems. You either work on them or you leave. You don't start auditioning replacements while your spouse still thinks you're building a future together. The divorce destroyed me. Not in the dramatic movie way, in the quiet way. The staring at grocery store shelves because your brain stopped functioning way. The pretending you're okay at work then crying in the car afterward way. The everyone tells you time heals everything while time moves like wet cement way. And through all of that, Ryan knew everything. Every ugly detail. He was actually the one who sat with me on my apartment floor the night Jenna officially moved out. I remember him handing me a beer and saying, "She's gonna regret this one day." That sentence stayed with me, because in that moment I thought, at least my brother's on my side. Fast forward about a year after the divorce, Ryan starts dating this woman named Claire. Claire's great, seriously. Smart, funny, grounded. Honestly, better than most people in our family. Everybody loved her immediately. And because Ryan was happy, I was happy for him. Then one day, completely out of nowhere, he mentions that Jenna had reached out to congratulate him on the relationship. I remember pausing for a second because, why? Jenna had never been especially close with Ryan. Friendly, sure, but not keep in touch after divorce friendly. Still, I brushed it off. Then a few months later, I'm at my parents' house for dinner, and my mom casually says, "Oh, Jenna stopped by last week. She looks wonderful." I thought she misspoke. I literally laughed. Like, what do you mean Jenna stopped by? And my mom goes, "She was in the area and wanted to say hi." Wanted to say hi. To my parents. The same parents who watched me nearly spiral into depression after that divorce. I remember asking, "Why would you even invite her in?" And my mom gave me this exhausted look and said, "She was part of the family for years. We still care about her." That sentence hit harder than I expected, because suddenly I realized something terrifying. While I spent the last year trying to survive the divorce, my family had apparently spent that same year quietly deciding they still wanted my ex around. And nobody thought maybe I deserved a heads up. Now here's where it gets messy. I didn't demand anybody cut Jenna off forever. I'm not one of those people who thinks divorce means memory erasure. If my parents bumped into her at the store and exchanged pleasantries, fine, whatever. But inviting her over, keeping regular contact, updating each other on life events, that felt deeply weird to me, especially considering how the marriage ended. But every time I brought it up, I got the same speech. You can't expect us to hate her forever. Jenna's still a good person. She made mistakes. Mistakes. I always love when people use soft little words for devastating actions. Like, cheating is the human equivalent of forgetting to return a library book. Anyway, over time I mostly stopped talking about it because every conversation turned into me looking bitter while everyone else played Switzerland. Then Ryan proposed to Claire. I was genuinely excited. He asked me to be his best man, and I immediately said yes. We started planning bachelor stuff, suit fittings, all the normal wedding chaos. For the first time in a while, things actually felt normal between us again. Then came the dinner that detonated everything. Ryan and Claire invited immediate family over one Sunday to go through wedding seating arrangements and guest confirmations. Very casual. Pizza boxes everywhere. Wine on the counter. Little sticky notes with names on tables. At one point, Claire says, "We're still figuring out the family table." And Ryan casually goes, "Oh yeah, Jenna's here." I thought he meant emotionally, like maybe her name was still on an old draft. Then I looked down, and there it was, Jenna, at the family table, right next to my parents, 3 seats away from me. I honestly thought it was a joke. I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to smirk or laugh or say, "Relax, obviously not." But he just kept sipping his drink like nothing happened. So I asked, "Why is Jenna at the family table?" And Ryan says, "Well, she's basically still family." Basically still family. I can't even explain the silence that happened in my head after that. It was like every sound in the room got sucked out. Claire immediately looked uncomfortable. My dad suddenly became very interested in the pizza crust in front of him. And my mom gave me that same look again, the one that says, "Please don't make this difficult." I asked, "Are you seriously inviting my ex-wife to your wedding?" Ryan shrugged and said, "She's been in our lives for years." I said, "She cheated on me. And this man, my own brother, actually says, that situation was between you two. Between us two. Like, betrayal only affects the exact number of people physically present in the marriage." I asked if he was kidding. He said no. Then he added the sentence that completely broke whatever patience I had left. "You need to move on eventually." I wish I could tell you I stayed calm. I didn't. I asked him if he'd lost his mind. I asked why my comfort mattered less than Jenna's attendance. And most importantly, I asked why the woman who betrayed me deserved a seat at the family table while I was apparently expected to just smile through it. Ryan got defensive immediately, said I was making the wedding about myself, said Claire liked Jenna, said my parents liked Jenna. Then he dropped this absolute masterpiece, "Not everything is black and white." That sentence right there, that's how people excuse almost anything. Nobody ever says, "Not everything is black and white," before defending good behavior. Anyway, I told him plainly, "If Jenna's at that wedding, I'm not coming." And the room exploded. My mom instantly accused me of emotionally blackmailing him. My dad said I was putting Ryan in an impossible position. Ryan stood up and said, "So you'd really skip your own brother's wedding over this?" And I said, "You already chose who matters more." That part hit hard, because he looked genuinely hurt. But honestly, so was I. I left after that. Didn't yell anymore, didn't slam doors, just grabbed my keys and walked out. The next morning, my phone looked like a war zone. Texts from my mom, texts from cousins, texts from family friends who somehow already knew. Apparently, my parents had started calling people immediately after I left to explain my side, before I could explain mine. And according to them, I was holding the wedding hostage. That phrase kept coming up. Like I was some unstable villain threatening to ruin everybody's happiness because I couldn't let go of the past. Ryan texted me separately. He said, "I love you, but this is immature. Immature." I stared at that word for like 10 minutes. Because I kept thinking, what exactly would maturity look like here? Smiling politely while my cheating ex clinks champagne glasses with my family? Taking wedding photos beside the woman who detonated my marriage? Giving a best man speech while pretending none of this is unbelievably disrespectful. Is that maturity? Or is it just emotional self-erasure dressed up as being the bigger person? That's what started messing with my head. Because once enough people call you selfish, you start wondering if maybe you are. So I talked to a few friends, and the reactions were wildly split. Some said, "Absolutely don't go." Others said, "It's one day, ignore her." One friend actually said, You're giving Jenna power by reacting this strongly. And logically, maybe that's true. But emotionally, there's a huge difference between still hurt and, quote, willing to voluntarily sit through humiliation. Then came the detail that pushed things even further. A week later, Claire called me privately, and I could immediately tell she was nervous. She said she wanted to explain something. Apparently, Jenna had become close with her over the past year. Coffee dates, texting, girls, nights, which honestly made my stomach drop because I had no idea any of this was happening. Then Claire admitted something else. The family table was actually Jenna's idea. According to Claire, Jenna joked that it would be weird if she sat with strangers after, quote, being part of the family for so long. And Ryan agreed. I genuinely didn't know what to say. Because suddenly this stopped feeling passive. It wasn't just my family failing to establish boundaries. My ex-wife actively wanted symbolic inclusion. At my brother's wedding. And somehow nobody thought, hey, maybe this is wildly inappropriate. Claire apologized repeatedly. She said she didn't realize how painful it would feel for me. And honestly, I appreciated the call. But it also made me angrier, because it confirmed what I already suspected. Nobody had considered my feelings until I threatened not to come. After that, Ryan and I didn't speak for almost 3 weeks. Then my dad invited me over. Just me. No mom, no Ryan. And for a second, I thought maybe he understood. Instead, he hit me with, "Your brother's devastated." I asked, "Is he devastated enough to uninvite Jenna?" Silence. Then Dad says, "You know he won't." And there it was. The thing nobody wanted to say directly. They had already chosen. Jenna staying comfortable mattered more than me, feeling respected. Dad tried giving me this whole speech about forgiveness and family unity, and not letting one mistake define someone forever. And I finally snapped. I asked him, if Claire cheated on Ryan tomorrow, would you invite her to Christmas dinner next year? He didn't answer, just looked away. Because suddenly it wasn't theoretical anymore. Suddenly the disrespect became obvious. That's the thing about empathy. People struggle with it until you replace your pain with someone they actually care about. A few days after that conversation, Ryan finally called. Not texted, called. And for a second, I thought maybe this was the reconciliation moment. It wasn't. He basically said he was tired of the drama and needed a final answer about whether I was attending. I asked him one last time, why is having Jenna there more important than having your own brother there? And his response honestly stunned me. He said, because unlike you, she's not making me choose. That line stayed in my head for days. Because on the surface, it sounds reasonable. But the more I thought about it, the more manipulative it felt. Imagine stabbing someone, then praising the knife for not creating conflict. Of course, Jenna wasn't making him choose. She already got exactly what she wanted. Access. Acceptance. Inclusion. I was the only person paying an emotional price, so naturally, I was the only inconvenient one. I told Ryan I loved him, but I wasn't coming. He said fine. Not angry. Not emotional, just cold. And honestly, that hurt more than yelling. The wedding happened 2 weeks ago. I didn't go. From what I heard, Jenna was there exactly as planned. Family table. Wedding photos. Everything. My mom hasn't spoken to me since. My dad sends occasional, hope you're okay texts that feel more like guilt management than actual concern. And Ryan? Nothing. Total silence. But here's the part that's messing me up now. A cousin sent me pictures from the wedding. Not maliciously. I think she genuinely thought I'd want to see them. And there, right in the center of one photo, was Jenna. Laughing with my parents, standing beside Ryan, looking completely comfortable. Like she never detonated anything at all. And for the first time since all this happened, I wondered if maybe I overreacted. Because they all look happy. Meanwhile, I'm sitting alone questioning whether protecting my boundaries just cost me my family. And honestly, I still don't know. So, AITA?